Okay, once again, very good morning to all of you. Hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
And can you make out the PowerPoint on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay then. I am going to start today the new topic. That's very important topic for your examination as well as your clinics also. So this is the uterus. You know the uterus is female reproductive organ. I'll keep on adding you, don't worry. Okay. So this reproductive organ in the female, it's a pear-shaped organ, and it's very small in adult nullipera. Nullipera is a female who have not given birth to any baby. That is known as nulliparous. So in nulliparous female, the length of uterus is 8 centimeter, the width is 5 centimeter, the thickness is 3 centimeter in non-pregnant state. Okay, and it's a pelvic organ. It lies in the pelvis. What pelvis means? It's in the lower abdomen. So it lies between the urinary bladder and it lies between the sigmoid colon and rectum. The urinary bladder lies anterior to this uterus and the sigmoid colon and rectum, they lie posterior to this. Now normal position of uterus. So normal position of uterus is very important. So when you will run your clinic, that time you have to know what is the normal position of uterus. The normal position of uterus is anteverted and anteflexed. I'll show you what do you mean by anteverted and anteflexed. Next. So if you see this diagram, okay, the long axis of uterus, this one, the long axis of uterus an angle of 90 degree with the long axis of vagina. So this is the long axis of vagina and this is the long axis of uterus. They make an angle of 90 degree, and this angle of 90 degree is known as angle of anteversion. This is angle of anteversion. Now uterus is bent upon itself. If you see this one, it is bent upon itself, and this bending, it has angle of, this is 125 degree, and this is known as the angle of anteflexion. So due to this normal angle of the uterus, that is anteverted anteflex, it remains in the normal position. Due to any reason, if this angle gets changed, if this angle is changed, then there are chances of prolapse of uterus. So that is the significance of what is normal position of uterus. So if you see, now with this diagram, you can make out the dotted line and you can make out the original picture. So what you see now, various position of the uterus, variation. So this is, if these are not the normal position. So when the position is not normal and when it is retroverted or retroflex, then the chances of your prolapse of uterus are there. So that is the normal position and variation of uterus. Now if you see the uterus is made up by basically outermost layer, that is covered by the peritoneum. Then we have myometrium. The myometrium is made up by the muscles. Then we have endometrium. Endometrium is the inner layer that is lined by the mucosa that contain basal layer, spongy layer, and vessels are there within that. Now when you see the uterus normal in the female, you can make out in this diagram, anterior to uterus you have the urinary bladder. This is the urinary bladder in the pelvic cavity. Then posterior to uterus you have this one, sigmoid colon, and the lower part of uterus, which is known as cervix, posterior to that you have rectum. Now it's again important to know that the uterus, urinary bladder, rectum, sigmoid colon, all are covered by the peritoneum. Now the fold of peritoneum which cover the urinary bladder, which cover the posterior surface of bladder, same continuation of the peritoneum cover the anterior surface of uterus also. So a depression, a pouch is formed, that is known as vesico-uterine pouch. So vesico-uterine pouch is a fold of peritoneum, it's a space, and the fold of peritoneum which cover the posterior surface of uterus, same continue with the rectum here, behind the cervix also. This is recto-uterine pouch. This is again very important. You have to remember throughout your life. Recto-uterine pouch, that is known as pouch of Douglas. So this is the most dependent space in the female. The most dependent space in the female is the pouch of Douglas. Normally there is no fluid in this. If you go through any ultrasound report in your clinics, it will be mentioned whether it is normal, then it will be mentioned no fluid is seen in P or D. That is pouch of Douglas. So this where you have arrow, that is the pouch of Douglas. I'll admit you all. So this pouch of Douglas is most dependent space. So if there is any leakage in the abdominal cavity, that will be accumulated first in the pouch of Douglas. That is the significance of this space. Now, if you see this one, this is the uterus. That uterus has got various parts. This is the fundus of uterus, this is the body of uterus, and this is the cervix of uterus. I told you dimension of uterus, once again I am going to repeat. What you imagine, it is not that big. The weight of uterus is before the pregnancy just 30 to 40 gram, and size I told you 8 centimeter is the length, then 5 centimeter is the width, and 3 centimeter is anterior posteriorly. Now when you see the uterus, it has got this part, the expanded part. This is the fundus of uterus, this is the body of uterus, and this part is known as cervix of the uterus. Now fundus of uterus, again to the student, please keep your mobile on silent mode. It will disturb, okay, to the other student. You keep on silent mode. If you have any query or question, you can raise your hand or you can put your message in the message chat box. So you all will get this lecture. We'll send you all detail. We will send you PPT also. So now I was telling you about the fundus. The fundus of uterus is upper expanded part. This one. This is the fundus of uterus. Again, this fundus of uterus is important clinically. Clinically, it's very important when you will deal with the patient in your clinic. That time you must know the fundus is the uppermost part. Okay, so during pregnancy we examine the fundus only. So normally it lies in the pelvic cavity. Then in the different weeks, 12 week, 24 week and 36 week, it comes to the umbilical position, then to the Gifford process position. So that is the significance clinically of the fundus. Then this part is the body. The most larger part of uterus is the body, and the lower narrow part is known as cervix. Now uterus has two borders and two surfaces. These two are the lateral border and two surfaces are anterior surface and posterior surface. When you see the lateral border of uterus, the lateral border of uterus gives attachment to lot of structure. This structure, what you can make out, this is the broad ligament of uterus. The broad ligament of uterus is a peritoneal fold that gives attachment to lateral border of your uterus with the lateral pelvic wall. Then the fallopian tube, two fallopian tube or the uterine tube, they open into the upper part of the lateral border. Other than that, you have round ligament of uterus. You have round ligament of uterus, then you have ligament of ovary. The round ligament of uterus are attached anterior-inferiorly to the broad ligament, and ligament of ovary are attached posterior-inferiorly to the broad ligament. So there are two layers of the peritoneal fold of the broad ligament. Between the two layers, we have these blood vessels. We have nerves and lymph vessels. The blood vessels are, you have uterine artery, you have ovarian artery, you have same name veins, lymph vessel and nerve plexus. So now relation, if you see the relation of uterus, see, this is the anterior surface of uterus. What you see? The anterior surface of uterus. The anterior surface of uterus, relation I'll show you. This one. You see in this view, you have anteriorly urinary bladder. So in this diagram, lateral view, it's clearly seen. This is the anterior surface of uterus, which is related with the urinary bladder. It is related with urinary bladder, and I told you the fold of peritoneum which cover the superior surface of urinary bladder, same cover the anterior surface of uterus, and then a pouch is formed, a space is formed. This is known as vesico-uterine pouch. Then posteriorly, uterus is related with terminal part of ileum. Along with that, there is sigmoid colon, and lower down the cervix is related posteriorly with your rectum. And here you have P or D, that is the pouch of Douglas. So these are the relation anterior posteriorly. Laterally, if you remember, I have explained you the lateral relation. Laterally, you have broad ligament of uterus, you have uterine artery, you have uterine vein, you have epiuphron, periuphron, lot of structure we'll study in detail. So this is the lateral. Now, when you see interior of the uterus, this one, interior of the uterus, inside of the uterus, if you see the sagittal section, it's a slit only. But if you see the coronal section, what you see, this is the coronal section of uterus. In the coronal section of the uterine cavity is broader above and narrow below. This is narrow below. The broader above, here you have opening of two fallopian tube. You can make out two fallopian tube open. Due to this reason, the female, they do not have closed peritoneal sac. In the male, the peritoneal cavity is a closed, but in female, the peritoneal cavity is not closed. As because the fallopian tube, they open into the peritoneal cavity laterally, and then medially the fallopian tube, they open into the uterine cavity. That uterine cavity continue with the cervix, you can make out cervix, and cervix continue with the vagina, and vagina continue with the exterior. So in this way, in the female with the external, with the exterior, the peritoneal cavity has the communication. Now inside, when you see this inside innermost, the innermost you have this mucous membrane mucosa, that is the endometrium. The mucosa has the various folds, and those folds of mucosa, they looks like the branches of tree, and we call them arbor vitae. Now mucosa, outer layer to the mucosa, you have myometrium. This is the thickest layer. This myometrium is made up by the smooth muscle. Now the lower part, where you have the lower part of the uterus, it communicates with the cervix, and this communication of uterus and cervix is through the internal os. Os means opening. So cervix communicates with the uterus through an opening. That opening is known as internal os. And if you see this cervix continue with the lower down to the vagina by another opening. This is known as external os. So this is the internal os and this is the external os. Now if you can make out this cavity is your cervix. This is the cervix. So cervix is the part of uterus which connect the uterine cavity with the vagina. This cervix is dilated. This is dilated in the middle and it is narrow on its end. So as I told you, arbor vitae, they are more prominent in the cervix. If you see in the cervix, these are the fold of mucosa. They are like the branches of the tree and they are the arbor vitae. And this is the external os and this is the internal os. Now cervix has got two parts. The supravaginal part, what I am moving this arrow, this is the supravaginal part of cervix, and lower down we have intravaginal part of the cervix. Now intravaginal part of the cervix open to the vagina, that has got anterior and posterior layer. Now this opening of cervix, here you have very important structure, they are known as fornices. So you have anterior fornix, posterior fornix and lateral fornix. So the spaces between the vaginal wall and the external os, these are known as fornix. So these fornixes are again important. So if there is any accumulation of the fluid which has to be drained out, so incision must be given through this fornix. Okay, so this is the fornix now. So you have, this is the cervix, that is the lower part of the uterus. This is the uterine cavity. You have opening of the tube, fallopian tube over here. Now you can make out the relation, as I told you, these are the two fallopian tube. These are the two fallopian tube which open in the upper part of your lateral border of the uterus. Now this is the broad ligament. You can make out very clearly, this is a fold of peritoneum. Broad ligament is a fold of peritoneum. This broad ligament gives attachment to lateral border of the uterus to the pelvic wall. Now another structure related to this lateral border, you have round ligament of the uterus, you have the ligament of ovary. Those are the another structure related to this lateral border. Now I told you about the cervix, detail of the cervix. If you see the external os and internal os opening, these are the opening in nullipara and multipara. In nullipara it is circular. I told you about nullipara is the female who have not given the birth to a child, and after giving more than 2 baby birth, that is known as multipara. Now if you see the shape and size of uterus and cervix, in newborn baby the size of cervix is bigger. Then at the age of 4 it looks like this uterus, and at the puberty so this is at the time of puberty, and during the pregnancy it become too enlarged. The uterus, the size and cavity, it become bigger, and at the old age after menopause there gets atrophy. The size becomes, shrinkage of the size is there. So these are various changes according to the age in the uterus. Now relation I told you once again, you can see the relation. This is the urinary bladder, this is the fold of peritoneum, this is vesico-uterine pouch, here you have pouch of Douglas. See relation, anteriorly urinary bladder, posteriorly you have rectum and sigmoid colon, and within the pouch of Douglas you have coils of small intestine. So those are the relation of uterus. Again you can make out in the pelvic region, this is the urinary bladder, and here you have rectum, and here you have pouch of Douglas. Now spot of uterus. The uterus spots are very important. So what are the structure which gives spot to the uterus? So for spotting of the uterus there are two type of the structure. One are the true spots and another are the false. Okay, the false spots are the peritoneal fold. The fold of peritoneum, they do not give actual spot, but they are attached to the uterus and they give minimum spot to the uterus. But there are certain true spots. So we will discuss both true and false ligament of the uterus. So first you have round ligament. This is the round ligament of uterus. The round ligament of uterus, as the name indicates, it is the rounded and it is attached to the lateral border. The lateral border of the uterus, antero-inferiorly to the broad ligament. Broad ligament I told, as the name indicates, it's a broad fold of peritoneum. It's a broad fold of peritoneum that gives attachment to the uterus with the pelvic wall. Then you have another true ligament which are transverse ligament, pubocervical, uterocervical, then you have perineal body, then you have levator ani muscles. So these are the true ligament. When you see this is the round ligament, broad ligament, I told you the detail. So within the broad ligament as I told you there are two layers, anterior and posterior, and between the two layers you have artery, uterine artery, ovarian artery, uterine vein, ovarian vein. I told you epiophoron, paraophoron. These are embryonic structure. Epiophoron and paraophoron, these are embryonic structure. They are homologous to epididymis of the male. In the male you have epididymis. So in female, homologous to that, between the two fold of broad ligament you have this structure. Other than that, ligament of the ovary you have. Then ureter relations are also there to the lateral side with the broad ligament. See if you can make out, it's a transverse section. Now it's a transverse section. You see anteriorly this is the pubic bone. Anteriorly you have pubic bone and posteriorly you have sacrum. Posteriorly you have sacrum. Then you have the muscle surrounding the urethra and uterus. You have the muscle, and there you have pubococcygeus muscle. Pubococcygeus muscle, transverse cervical ligament, uterosacral, as the name indicates, between the uterus and sacrum you have uterosacral ligament, between the lateral wall of the pelvis and uterus transverse ligament. So these all name what I am telling you, these are the true ligament. They give support to the uterus. Other than that, urethra also contains some smooth muscle. They within the vagina also there are the muscle, smooth muscle, they give support to the uterus. So these are the various support of the uterus. Pubocervical ligament, as the name indicates, between the pubic and cervix, pubocervical ligament, transverse ligament, uterosacral ligament. So those are the true spots of uterus. Now blood supply of uterus is again important. uterus get its blood supply through uterine artery, ovarian artery, vaginal artery and some other branches. The uterine artery are branches of internal iliac artery. They are the branches of internal iliac artery, which is again a branch of common iliac artery. The ovarian arteries are branches of abdominal aorta. They are the branches of abdominal aorta. So these two are the main arteries of uterus, and same name veins are also there. Now nerve supply. For nerve supply of all pelvic organ, you must remember sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic and parasympathetic are there. The parasympathetic nerve supply for all pelvic organ is S2, S3, S4. That is second sacral, third sacral and fourth sacral nerve. And the sympathetic nerve supply for pelvic organ is T11, T12 and even L1 also. So these are the sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve supply. They form the plexus. They form the ovarian plexus, hypogastric plexus, and they supply to the uterus. So that is about the nerve supply of uterus. Now finally we come to the very important part, applied anatomy of the uterus. What is the applied anatomy? Retroverted uterus. Just now I told you the normal position of uterus is anteversion or anteverted and anteflexed. Okay, so if it is reversed to the anteverted, we call it retroverted uterus. And when the female suffer with the retroverted uterus, then the chances of prolapse of uterus are there. So I use CD. This is intrauterine contraceptive devices. To prevent the pregnancy, there are certain devices, I'll show you the picture also, and those devices are known as intrauterine contraceptive devices. Then for the delivery of baby, sometime baby has to be delivered by giving incision on anterior abdominal wall and on the uterus. That is known as cesarean section. Due to tumor, due to cancer of uterus, the uterus has to be removed surgically, and that is known as hysterectomy. Then stereosalpingogram, HSG, it's a technique by which a dye can be injected through the cervix to the uterus, and when it goes to the uterus and then it passes to fallopian tube, and we can see on the X-ray film, and that technique is stereosalpingography, and that X-ray film is known as stereosalpingogram. Then carcinoma of cervix is very common. The carcinoma of cervix is very common cancer, and nowadays early detection has very good result, good treatment is there. In some European country, even the cervix cancer tests are compulsory. The cervix smear can be taken and test will indicate the early stage and that can be treated. Then a common tumor, benign, not cancerous, non-cancerous tumor is fibromyoma. Then DMC, that is dilatation and curtage. It is a technique for the abortion. Then DUB, again it's a common disease, dysfunction uterine bleeding. So I'll explain you all. Now you see the abdominal hysterectomy. When surgically removal of uterus is there through the abdomen, we call it abdominal hysterectomy. But nowadays vaginal hysterectomy is also done without giving any incision through the vagina. Uterus can be removed, and that is known as vaginal hysterectomy. So you can make out how incision is given on anterior abdominal wall and uterus is taken out. Then laparoscopic surgery. Nowadays it's common by giving 3 small opening or 4 opening in the abdomen. Through that opening, if you can make out, a light source can be inserted, camera can be inserted in the abdomen, and then through the pipe instrument can be inserted, and the surgeon, he used to see in the microscope or on the screen, and the smaller structure can be magnified. They can be enlarged and nicely seen, and this type of the surgery is the laparoscopic surgery. This is the vaginal hysterectomy. If you see through the vagina, if the uterus is removed, that is vaginal hysterectomy. This is laparoscopic, how it is done. This is vaginal hysterectomy. So there is no need of giving any incision. Through the vagina, the uterus can be removed. Now this is stereosalpingogram. So a radiopaque dye is injected. When this dye goes through this cervix to the uterus, and then after uterus it goes to the fallopian tube. So this is stereosalpingography. Now how HCG is done? Through the vagina, catheter is inserted, and with the help of syringe, dye can be injected. That dye will go through the uterus to the fallopian tube. Then cul-de-sac. I told you the pouch of Douglas, the most dependent space in the female during supine position is cul-de-sac or pouch of Douglas. And if there is any abnormal leakage in the abdomen, the fluid will be accumulated in pouch of Douglas, and from there this fluid can be removed through the fornix. I told you about the fornix, through the fornix. This is uterine tumor, fibroma, fibromyoma. These are benign tumor, non-cancerous tumor. This is the cervix. Cervix cancer, as I told you, it's very common, and we can treat it nowadays. The treatment part is very good. Now this is D and C. So what is D and C? Dilatation and curtage. So cervix is dilated, and with the help of curator, the uterine contents are removed. It's a kind of abortion. So this is D and C. You can make out the step of D and C, how the contents are removed. Then finally IUCD, intrauterine contraceptive devices. In this, what happened? The copper T, if you have heard the name, copper is a metal, and the copper T is a T shape. So to prevent the pregnancy, copper T is kept within this female reproductive organ. So when the sperm come in contact with this copper, those sperms are destroyed, so that this pregnancy cannot occur. So this is the IUCD. It will destroy the sperm. Short note topic. For the short note, you have fallopian tube. This is the fallopian tube or the uterine tube. Uterine tube are again the reproductive organ. They are two in number, and their length is 10 centimeter. As I told you previously also, the uterine tube open into the lateral side of upper part of uterus. So uterine tube, they have got various parts like intramural within the uterus. Then you have isthmus, ampulla, infundibulum. So the lateral most part, which looks like the funnel, that is known as infundibulum. Lateral part of the uterine tube, it looks like the funnel, and with that there are finger-like projection. They are known as fimbria, and one of the fimbria is bigger, larger, and that fimbria is known as fimbria of the ovary or the ovarian fimbria. Then the part here, which is narrow, we call it isthmus, and this part is the intramural part. So these are the various part of fallopian tube. The fallopian tube are covered by the peritoneum. They are covered by peritoneum. See once again here, the relation of fallopian tube, they lie along with the superior border of broad ligament. The fallopian tube lies along with the superior border of this broad ligament of uterus. Anterior to that, you have round ligament. Anterior relation is round ligament, and posteriorly you have ligament of ovary. Then they also overlap the ovary. So that is about the fallopian tube. You can make out this end is like a funnel, and these all projection are fimbria. These are the fimbria. So ovum which is released from ovary, that ovum enter through the fimbriated end, and then it goes to the ampulla, and the sperm which enter through the cervix and uterus to the uterine tube, they comes to the fallopian tube, and the chances of fertilization, chances of zygote formations are more in the ampulla. So it open here in the peritoneal cavity. These are the fimbria. This part is ampulla. Then you have narrow part isthmus, and this is the intrauterine or intramural part. Now you can make out this is the ovary. The ovum, okay, ovum is released from the ovary, and then it enters through the fimbriated end, and the zygote formation, the fertilization take place here with the help of sperm. This is the same. Now blood supply of ovary, this fallopian tube, it is supplied by the uterine artery as well as ovarian artery. Same is the venous drainage. So this is a short note question. You should know only brief about that. The inflammation of fallopian tube. The inflammation of fallopian tube is known as salpingitis. That is the inflammation of fallopian tube, salpingitis. So this is the salpingitis, and here this is the stereosalpingograph. And in case of salpingitis, you can diagnose through this also. Then tubectomy, the surgical cutting of the fallopian tube to prevent permanently the zygote formation or to prevent the pregnancy is known as tubectomy. Nowadays, laparoscopic tubectomy is done. So this is the tubectomy. Both the side, these ends are ligated. These ends are ligated or they are cut off. And if somebody again needs the pregnancy, they can be repaired, and that is known as tuboplasty. This is laparoscopic tubectomy. This is tuboplasty. Surgical repair of the tube is known as tuboplasty. This is through ultrasound you can make out tubes. Then tumor of the ovaries are also there. So that's about today lecture. Get ready. Next time we'll start with the head, neck and face. And madam will be in touch with you on WhatsApp. She will be sending you all this PPT as well as what the topics are covered or what are to be covered. Okay then. Thank you. Thank you very much.